Um, we have a whole bunch of people watching. So welcome everyone to Prelude to TranscenDance. This is a conversation just on the eve of the premiere of TranscenDance, which is a full-length dance film by the Temple of Fine Arts, Singapore. It has been conceived and choreographed by Lakshmi Krishnan, who is here with us, under the mentorship of Rama Vaidyanathan, who is also on this panel, as part of Apsaras Arts Dance India Asia Pacific Mentorship Program. And we're so honored to have with us Aravinth Kumarasamy. We also have with us Chitra Poornima, who's the music composer and the singer for this beautiful dance film, and who's added a very interesting layer, musical layer to this production. Um, I don't want to get into the detailed synopsis of TranscenDance because I'd love for Lakshmi and Ramaji to speak about it. But the one-line definition of TranscenDance that really caught my attention was the fact that it charts the journey of 5 dancers who navigate one central question, which is, who am I? And I thought that that's really, really a very, very loaded question, a question that's not just applicable to dancers per se, but a question that's applicable to all of us humans. We all often ask ourselves, who am I? What is my identity? And I think it's going to be very interesting to discuss how they actually, what really triggered the idea of this production and what really it attempts to sort of answer. What are the questions that it's seeking to, what are the answers it's seeking to sort of, unravel? Like I said, we're very excited to have the core team of TranscenDance here with us. A very warm welcome to all of you. Arvind, the artistic director of Apsaras Arts, and really the source of the spring, so to speak. Lakshmi Krishnan, the choreographer, Rama Vaidyanathan, the mentor, Chitra Poornima, the music composer. Very warm welcome to all of you. So without much ado, I'm going to firstly ask Arvind a question, because in some sense, I think the sort of the thread that connects this entire production is Apsaras Arts and the Dance India Asia Pacific Residency Program. So Arvind, I'm going to ask you firstly, when, why, and how did you imagine these mentorship programs, and why mentoring in itself adds to the entire process of dance itself a beautiful layer, a sort of an additional dimension. So I want you to talk a little bit about what triggered the idea of these mentorship programs itself under the umbrella of the Dance India Asia Pacific.
Thank you, Akhila, for putting together this session today, and warm welcome to everybody else as well. So Dance India Asia Pacific is a movement to encourage the practice of dance in Singapore, basically. But we do have participants from the region, but predominantly from Singapore. And it is something that was conceived and invented by Dr. Prashant Nayak of Milap Fest in UK. And then we have been running this Singapore edition of it for the last 9 years now. This year we'll celebrate 10 years. So it looked at various aspects of dance learning, choreography, workshops, masterclass, a teachers program where teachers came together to learn more and interact with each other. And when we came around the 6th year of this edition, we realized that, every year we were trying to how to push the boundary, how to push the horizon, how to make it more interesting. And also we started to understand the gaps in the industry. We try to understand what the dancers really need in terms of opportunities and what the platform can provide. So then we went to look on to see how we can create a residency program. So the residency programs are 2 types. One is for 3 soloists to work on their thematic concept they create. The other one is 3 choreographers to work on ensemble work. So today, obviously, we are here with Lakshmi Krishnan, who took up the ensemble choreography residency. And Lakshmi has been part of Dance India, attending almost every year. And I think I remember she receiving the long service award when we crossed 5 years. And so we are going to come to 10 years. So actually, what it has done, it has allowed our dancers to think beyond their boundaries, to enlarge their canvas, right? And being a diaspora community here, an artist who are practicing Indian art, for us to keep touch back with the roots in India is very important. And just say when you want to touch back the roots in India, it's not about just going and visiting Tanjore Bhagadeshwar temple and attending, the concerts in the Markali, but it's actually being able to get into a mentorship program with somebody like Rama Vaidyanathan, who's a practicing artist, who's a choreographer, who's a trailblazer. So that's how we see touching back the roots in the concept. So the soloists were mentored by Priyadarshini Govind, and the ensemble choreographers have been mentored by Rama Vaidyanathan. So I think it has given a great opportunity for our artists and choreographers to think beyond their regular boundaries. Yeah. And also to, this platform has kind of pushed them beyond their comfort zone to go and create some work. I mean, if I look at the three soloists who have done before and the ensemble worker, they've been pushed out of their regular boundaries to go and try something different. And I'm expecting with the success of this program and this today's production that we are going to talk about, I'm looking forward to Lakshmi Krishnan creating more and more such works. After being pushed out of the zone, she has got to learn a lot from Rama, who has been mentoring her. And I think it has given her, I'm sure, new boundaries. And this is what we expect to see more and more new works coming out of these choreographers. Yeah, so that's what we did at Dance in the Asia Pacific, to provide this platform to opportunity. And lastly, I would say that Rama Vaidyanathan has been coming as our faculty member, taking the master classes, but this gives her another dimension for her to also interact with our local dancers beyond the classroom setting. So this is where they really start from scratch. I'm sure they will talk about the process soon, but they start from scratch and they have created something from nothing. And that's something is what is beautiful about this program, both for the faculty as well as for the participants.
Yeah. Actually, Aravind, I forgot to mention this, but as someone who's enabling this, every time I was writing the posts for TranscenDance while I was posting it on Aalaap, I really thought about how this is really representative of, the very spirit and ethos of the word collaboration. We use this word collaboration so easily, but look at this, like, this really coming together of sorts, where there is a free, generous sharing of energies, exchange of ideas to really create work that impacts a larger universe. And in this case, especially, I think the theme is also particularly relevant to the to dancers. So moving on to Lakshmi Krishnan, who has strictly told me not to use the word G while addressing her. So Lakshmi, I'm going to ask you a little bit about the title. I've been so intrigued by the title, and today I was just sort of asking Google what exactly transcendence means, and it said existence or experience beyond the normal or the physical level. That's what the exact definition of transcendence is. So I'm curious whether TranscenDance was in a certain way inspired by transcendence, and what was really the sort of the trigger for this idea? How and when did that happen?
Okay, thank you, Akhila. So maybe I'll start with the very beginning, when I had the very first discussion with Ramaka. So at that point, actually, the concept was already transcendence, but I was not fully aware of it. So I went to her and talking about this idea of wanting to come up with a production of about finding the light, moving from darkness and seeking enlightenment. That was the idea I had. I remember speaking on having a Zoom call or a telephone call with Aravind and Ramaka, and Ramaka thought it was a really nice idea, and she was happy I was not going to do anything from the Puranas and all that. And she said, very nice to come up with the concept, and I'll meet you at Dance India. So I continued to come up with an idea, and then we met a few months, I think 2 months later, we met at Dance India. And then when I went through my scene by scene idea with her, she listened very intently. And at the end of it, she said, Lakshmi, it's a very nice concept, but whatever you've given me so far, this would make a very good spiritual discourse. So she said, you really need to think about creating content that will make this idea more interesting for a dance production. And then I went back, and then over the next few days, I actually came up with content, and we literally completed 2 scenes during the 1-week workshop. We completed the music, and Akka was just going on giving so many ideas, and literally we completed that, and then I was supposed to continue the work. But what happened after that was, as I kept thinking about my conversations with Akka, and somewhere the idea just, I didn't know how to take it forward, and I felt it was becoming a bit complicated. And my dancers actually literally one day told me, Akka, we don't get it. Like, can it be just something simple? What is it you want to show? So, and then at that point, that was when it literally changed. And then I was thinking, let's keep this simple. You know, if you really want to show this light, does it need to be so literally spoken about? And as I reflected over the days that went by, I decided to actually use my life story as the base. So this 5 dances, the life story of love, loss, conflict, search, and then going inward was the base that I finally settled with. And that is literally my life story. And so using that as a base.
Could you just repeat that, the 5 elements? Could you just repeat that?
Yeah, so this, I mean, I think if you look at our taglines in some of the teasers, it says love, conflict, search. So these are the 3 things. So in that love, conflict, and search, we go on a journey inward. And as we go inward, we find that light within us.
Okay.
Right? So that light could be courage to fight battles. It could be love, learning to love yourself. It could be wisdom to find answers by reflecting. You know, instead of seeking for answers outside, you seek the answers inside you. And compassion, to be compassionate to yourself. So this is the base of the story. And so it just translated into a very simple story of 5 dancers and their journey. So this TranscenDance, what happened was, yeah, I mean, when I started, I just started with a working title. I didn't have a title for the production yet. So when I had to create a title, we started brainstorming what shall we give, and there was so many titles that came up. And then literally one of my dancers said, Akka, why not TranscenDance? Then she said, isn't this whole production about transcendence? You keep telling us, you know, be honest, try to transcend, you know, to go beyond, push your boundaries. Let this not just be, you know, about the production, but about the process. And in this process, try to push your boundaries, go beyond, you know, and using dance as that medium. So why not TranscenDance? So we coined that word based on transcendence. Yeah. But to go beyond the body, to be able to do something more. So the dance is not just about the body, but it becomes about the mind and the soul. So right. Then that word TranscenDance came about.
Beautiful. Ramaji, I want to ask you a little bit about how that idea of going beyond, you know, she narrated the story about how you said this would end up looking like a spiritual discourse. As an artist, choreographer, teacher, why do you think, you know, it's imperative to create work that really pushes the boundary in some sense, and also looks beyond like just, you know, existing texts, the Puranas, the literature and all of that? Why do you think creating work like that is imperative, so to speak?
You know, because I was really happy when Lakshmi came to me and she said that her concept is kind of abstract, because I think only when you take up such concepts are you able to dig deeper into the grammar and into the ethos and into the vocabulary of your dance form. And that's when you come up with jewels, literally speaking. That's when you're able to cross boundaries and transcend. because, we Bharatanatyam dancers are very spoiled because we have an action and a mudra and an abhinaya for every single thing. But things when you do not have anything, and then that's when you start thinking, oh my God, how am I going to show this? When it is not prescribed in the vocabulary, the movement or the mudra is not prescribed in the vocabulary, that's when you start thinking, and that's when you start digging. So I thought that will be, because the mentorship program is meant to enrich. And so that is when I thought I would be able to contribute sufficiently to Lakshmi's process. So which is why I was really happy when she said that this was her topic. And in Singapore, when we were discussing, because, Aravind has this way of bringing people together. And in Dance India, it literally, we enrich each other. It's not just the participants who attend Dance India who get enriched, but even the faculty, we look at each other's work and we enrich each other. So when Aravind told me that, this is mentorship program and, one of the mentees is Lakshmi, I was thrilled, because I thought that this is going to be a two-way process, and I am also going to be enriched, and I'm also going to have this satisfaction, because job satisfaction is so imperative, right?
Right.
So I knew, because Lakshmi has a fantastic head on her shoulders, because I've known her for many years, and I know that she has a thought process which is very, very, very beautiful, and she has a way of life that will reflect in her choreography. And I was looking forward to that. And if you see the work, you will see, and she rightly put it, it's her life story. So which reflected so beautifully. So I knew that I'm also going to get enriched.
Enriched in the process.
So that in the process. So it was such a joyous process that we had.
I mean, it's. I'm going to ask you a little bit about mentorship program, but I'm going to come back to it in the second round of conversation. But there are two words that you use that I particularly love. One is job satisfaction. This is the first time that in the context of dance, we use that word. It's great because, finally, we all seek that from things that we do, a sense of satisfaction. And also you talked about, in the realm of the abstract. So I want to ask Chitra, who's composed music for this work, what it is like to create work in some sense where, Ramaji spoke about use this word prescribed. And when you don't have prescription or any sort of a reference, so to speak, what does it take to sort of go out there on a road which is empty and try to create music with the sense of abstraction in mind?
Firstly, I want to just say namaskaram to Ramaka and to Aravind Anna and Lakshmi Akka, and thank you, Akhila, for this wonderful panel. I want to say that I think, like Ramaka herself said, when we approach something that that we're very comfortable with, usually a Bharatanatyam repertoire, when we compose music for things that are based on mythology and things like that, it has a particular approach, or maybe it's a preset almost. But yeah, when Lakshmika came with this idea, I think the first thing for me is sitting with her for hours, multiple times, and just conversing and trying to understand what her intent was with this production. I think, and to really get to the spirit of the production. So, for example, when she talked about light, initially the theme of light, though it was very differently approached, and it's kind of evolved in time. For me, it's so important to understand the depth of her intention, her vision, and then kind of being part of those initial process, those sessions that she has with her dancers, whether it's brainstorming or whether they are just kind of moving, and their bodies are moving, they're trying to create patterns, and just being present there allows me to feel feel the dance and then bring that spirit to the music. So I don't think in terms of ragam or talam, but really how is the music serving the movement and then the larger intention. And so it's like the music has to be in relationship with the dance, and they're both evolving and growing together. So yeah, I think it's just that intimately being involved with that process, with the dancer, with the choreographer. I think it begins there for me. Yeah.
Akhila, if I may add, so Poornima has made it sound very simple. It's a very complex process, but I think without any flattery, just sincerely to say, not many musicians are able to create music vocabulary for abstract work. Not many. So they rely on lyrics. They want to hear Rama. They need to hear Amsanandi. So it's very difficult. So I think Poornima has done a great job in this for this project and for others as well. And personally, I mean, for my choreographic work, Agadi, Refugee, which we are going to present again next week, we told Poornima, we need some music to show the refugees fleeing on a boat. I mean, she just came up with that music that was so apt, and there's no lyrics, no sahitya, and of course we didn't even choreograph to show her. So I think Poornima has the talent to actually visualize the audio track, if I say it so raw. So she can visualize what kind of audio tracks will fit. Maybe her dance training also helps to see that. So I think we are gifted in Singapore to have a.
No, absolutely. Aravinth, I want to ask you, I'm still thinking about the word job satisfaction. How does it feel for you, Aravinth, to kind of enable all this and to actually see such fantastic collaborative work that is created for a larger universe? And she also talked about how, like in Dance India, Asia Pacific, you really bring people together, and how the community is enriched by virtue of that congregation, so to speak. I want to ask you what it has been like for you. I know it's a very loaded question. I'm not asking you to speak about your journey, but what is it like to sort of really be that person who brings people together, especially on the eve of this work that's going to be premiering tomorrow, and it's happening under the DIAP umbrella. So could you just speak about that?
Yeah, I think proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? So you could think of things. But what I see in front of me now in the Zoom window, I see people come from different environments come together to create this work, right? There's a Lakshmi, of course, Poornima and Lakshmi are from TFA, but then we have Rama Vaidyanathan here. We have Aalaap and Akhila here. So this is what is the beauty, that we can actually all come together and have that single mission, because there is a vision. If there is no vision, then we won't able to do. So, I mean, it's a satisfaction of an enabler. And, and I really like why when Rama says job satisfaction, because that's the only thing probably we can reach for. I don't see any money or any bank accounts growing for any one of us on the screen here. But I think it's a satisfaction. And I think the satisfaction will be a lot when tomorrow, when we see everybody watching this work, and seeing their life also being reflected somewhere or another. Yeah,
right, for sure. I want to speak to Lakshmi a little bit about the process of being mentored. What is it like to sort of have the word mentor is it's also a very, very loaded word, and there are so many different layers to that word. I want to ask you, like, when you knew that you were going to be mentored by Rama Vaidyanathan, what was your expectation, and what, in a certain way, I'm going to ask Ramaji, what are the deliverables, so to speak, for somebody who is a mentor? So maybe Lakshmi, you could talk about what you were looking for. What was your expectation from having a mentor, especially like someone like Ramaji, who's also a performing artist and a choreographer herself?
Yeah. So actually, when Aravinth came to see me about this group choreography mentorship, I was actually busy preparing a student for an Arangetram, I remember, and then I was a bit good comment. And then he said, no, Lakshmi, you seriously, you need to think about it and all. You know who the mentor is, who's going to be the mentor? It's Rama Vaidyanathan. So when he said Rama Vaidyanathan, then I was like, oh my God, like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. So I have to somehow, I have to juggle whatever I have at the moment, and I have to do this. So my first response is I was extremely excited that I will have this opportunity to spend time with Ramaka and to draw inspiration and draw a lot of input from her and to grow with her. So that was the very first response.
Mm-hmm.
Then subsequently, actually, that response then changed into anxiety as Dance India approached, and I didn't know what I was going to be in for. So I became really anxious, and I remember that first week with her. Every day, actually, I would be very anxious to go back the next day because first of all, she spoke about that spiritual discourse thing. So I was like, okay, I have to find content. But what was really interesting is when she started that 1 week mentorship, she didn't actually go into the choreography first. In the first day, how we should group choreography happen. And so we worked on different group choreography patterns, and then how to tweak the brains of my students, and like literally how to start working with them. And then she suggested that when you work on a group choreography, don't get into the choreography straight away. The dynamics of the group is very important. So these were very valuable inputs. She said, because when you start getting into the choreography proper, you won't have time for the group to gel. So that group dynamics is what you should start with. Subsequently, I think over the last few months, we've been working on Zoom. So this is where I think I really got to know Ramaka. Firstly, I think she made me feel extremely comfortable. I remember the first Zoom session, actually, I was very nervous about presenting whatever I had completed. I was very nervous to show it to her. And so we all got ready, and then she came, and then the girls danced, and we did live music. Poornima was there, and then we just did everything live. I mean, things were not perfect. Sometimes, she couldn't hear us and all, but she was extremely patient. And then when we finished, she said, Lakshmi, it's so nice. I mean, like, and then I was like, okay. So she was very generous with her compliments. She made us feel comfortable. And then she had this very subtle way of giving input. She said, everything is nice. Maybe this part, Lakshmi, maybe you want to add this thing. So she didn't make me feel threatened. She didn't make me feel small in front of my students. So it's the way it was just enough, just right, right? It's just that, that how much to tell and how to say. Like, how do you give input? So these were things I learned from her as well. Like, how do you give feedback without people making people feel bad? Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And when they're good, just say they're good. And then she constantly questioned me about my intention. Like, so where things were not so clear, she said, what are you trying to bring? What is your purpose of doing this? What was your intention? And then I stopped to think, and then maybe there were points where I wasn't thinking intently enough. So she triggered that. She didn't tell me, no, do it like this, do it like that. So she was not being pushy with her own ideas. Yeah. But when things didn't work, or if she felt that a scene, like a scene was a very important scene, but it wasn't coming through, and my intention was not coming through in the movement, she didn't mince words. She said, no, I don't think this is going to work. This idea for this scene is perfect. And this is going to be the most important and the most important scene in this whole production. I think you all need to work harder. I'll see you all next week. And then we went back and forth. We went again and again. And we all got into the groove of, this mentor who's, all geared up to give us that zest and zeal and excitement of wanting to work. And so we went the extra mile just to make sure that when we saw her the next time, she was smiling and saying, yes, this works. Yeah, so absolutely. I think it's been such a wonderful journey. Akka is so giving. She's extremely giving. And I think I'm so blessed to have had this. And I think my students are so blessed to have had her input. She actually went into nitty-gritties with each of them. Because there were some scenes where they did their own little bit of choreography and they had to work on their own solos. And then she kept asking, no, but this doesn't work, and like, go back, try something else, and then we would go back the whole week, we'll work, and then we'll meet her the next week again. So it's been a wonderful journey. And I think whatever the final product, I think it couldn't have happened without her input. So I really am so grateful for this opportunity that I've had.
Fantastic, like a creative sounding board, right? And also, I suppose someone whose bar of excellence is also high, so it kind of pushes you to keep raising your bar as well. Absolutely.
Yes.
Ramaji,
Yes.
I want you to talk a little bit about, I have one question that I'm applying to the context of journalism, but I want you to talk a little bit about when I know that you work as a mentor for, you're familiar with what being a mentor is, so to speak. What really are the deliverables, so to speak, like when you become a mentor, then when you're wearing a mentor's hat, how do you kind of ensure that you're providing feedback, constructive criticism, and also in a safe, judgment-free space, right? Where the other person doesn't feel like she used the word threatened or small in any way. Could you talk about how you have, how do you play that role, and how has it been for you?
Okay. Firstly, Lakshmi, thank you so much for such generous and sweet words. I'm really touched. And I think I'm blushing also a bit. Okay. So first of all, I understand this very well, that I'm the mentor and I'm not the teacher. And Lakshmi said, she never made us feel bad. And, but if you ask my students, yes, I can get very, very nasty sometimes when I'm giving them criticism, when I get angry. So, but here as a mentor, I need to understand that I don't have to teach her, but I have to guide her and open the doors and windows for her and make her see what she is doing. Why is she doing it? And how can she do what she's doing in the best optimum way? And explore all the possibilities of what she is doing in the best possible way. And I cannot intimidate her. A mentor can never intimidate the mentee. I think that's a very, very important role, because I have to inspire and encourage and guide. And I knew that that is what I need to do. And so, which is why I constantly asked her questions and understanding her intent. And when she answered the questions, there was clarity of vision for her own self. Sometimes I would get the clarity, but I knew that, but I wanted to hear it from her. Why I did that was because I myself am a choreographer, and you're always in self-doubt. And when you answer your own questions, there is some kind of clarity that you achieve. So which is why I kept asking those questions to Lakshmi, so that when she would answer them, the path would be clear for herself. Cobwebs would be kind of cleared for her. So I was very, very clear in what I need to do in this program to basically to broaden the spectrum for her. And like she said, not dump my ideas on her and say, this is what I would do that, and I would give her 4 or 5 ideas, and I would ask her to choose. And I would say, see which idea suits your work, And the scene that she's talking about that troubled us quite a bit, because the scene was very, very challenging. And so it's a scene where the dancers are working hard and to achieve a level of excellence, basically. So the term used by Lakshmi there was sadhana. So the dancers were practicing, so that they transcend over the practice. So basically, you need to practice so much that you throw the technique out of the window after that, literally. So every time, so what I wanted them to do was to be less performative and more transcendental. So the scene was becoming more and more performative, and I get it. And I get why it was becoming like that, because I myself do that. So I needed to throw that performative word out of the window.
Right.
Something that you're exhibiting, something that you're performing, something that you're showcasing. So that had to be thrown out. So that is what it, that is why it took so long. But the thing is, the best part of it was that Lakshmi and her girls were so wonderful. They just got everything I said. They just got it. And that is what I mean by job satisfaction, when I said something, they got it, they understood it, they imbibed it.
Right.
And then they worked on it. And then, they recreated and redefined themselves in that particular scene. So that is what I really, really liked. And then Poornima was there in so many of the sessions. So she singing live and, the whole thing coming up together. Otherwise, sometimes, it's very canned. It's stage number 1, music, stage number 2, choreography, stage number 3, third eye, stage number 4, final rehearsal. It wasn't like that. Right from the first stage, it was literally from scratch. And then, like Lakshmi said, initially when we were in Singapore, she had an idea. And then after that, when she had booked her tickets and they were all going to come to Delhi. To be here, for 10 days. Yeah, I had planned everything. I'd even planned a day of sightseeing for them. But everything went out of the window when we started doing Zoom. But something, like once I was having a conversation with Aravinth over this, the minute it became Zoom, somehow there was a different level of perfection that we could achieve. There were layers because there were details that I could see. There were details that I could see, like they say trifles make perfection and perfection is no trifle. I could see those details and I could talk to Lakshmi about those details. So I think, and then we said, okay, what the hell? Let's just make the best out of, the situation, and let's harness the medium and take out the best things out of the medium, and then, create a beautiful product like that. So we were all in these stages together. That is what I really liked. And once I think Aravinth also was there in 1 or 2 sessions, and he also came, and then he saw the progress with Lakshmi and her dancers. And I just had so much fun with Lakshmi and her dancers, and laughing and joking and dancing and being serious and all of it. And the process is so important, right? I always say, the dance is just 90 minutes, but the process is more than 90 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Chitra, I want you to, since we're talking about, Aravinth, please go ahead.
Yeah, Akhila, I think I would like to add one more point to what Rama is saying is, not every performer can be a choreographer, and not every choreographer can be a teacher, and not every teacher or choreographer can be a mentor, because it needs a certain different skill set. And I think that's what we are lucky to have Rama on our panel on this mentorship, because you should be able to bring all your experiences of your performative career and your choreographic sensibility, but wear a different lens and get into the shoes of a Lakshmi, not remain in the shoe of a Rama Vaidyanathan. So that is the crust of this whole thing. If not, the mentorship won't work. It will become instruction. Do this, do this, do this, right? So I think that is a great talent, and we are really thankful for Rama to transform that into that role and be able to guide new choreography work, bringing her experience to the table, but then looking through that lens and seeing it differently and encouraging it, and also to be patient when it's a mistake, they're going to fall, let them fall, and then they will get up. Now that is a very hard thing to do, because you impulse to say no, don't do that. No, do it, come back next week, you yourself would have realized that you're falling, so now let's see how you're not to fall. So these are the of how mentorship worked. And in fact, we could have, this team could have not got a better mentor than Rama.
Thank you, Aravinth.
Almost like the role of a therapist, right, who kind of allows you to kind of discover But I also, before moving to Chitra, I wanted to ask, in the context of journalism, an editor sort of prunes a story finally. You write a story and then it goes to the editor, and the editor kind of edits the story, but ensures that the storytelling sort of retains the voice of the writer. So I was, wondering whether one could apply the same principle in the context of mentoring, where in some sense, Ramaji, like while you mentored Lakshmi ji, finally she's the choreographer. So in some sense, it has to sparkle with her artistic voice, right?
Yes, because I had to be very careful. It was not my voice, it was Lakshmi's voice.
Yeah.
But that is the voice. Lakshmi's voice is what I had to hone.
Correct.
Lakshmi's voice is what I had to propagate and explore to the best and to the optimum.
Yeah.
So I had to be very, very careful about that.
Right. The dancers are not here. I'm sure they're watching this conversation. Lakshmi, I just want to ask you, what has that process of discovery been for them to have you as their teacher choreographer, but also to have Ramaji as their mentor, and this sort of tripartite sort of relationship. But like, what was it like for them to sort of, what was their personal discovery, so to speak, and also because it is about the life of a dancer and the questions that she navigates, right? So could you speak on behalf of them and just tell us?
Yeah, sure. So I think these 5 dancers, when I first asked them whether they would come on board, my only my only expectation of them was time commitment. Because I think that's what Ramaka said. Make sure that they can commit time, because I think that's the most important thing. Said, like the skill can be worked on. So they came on board, and so their commitment, I think they were very committed throughout. Ramaka coming into the picture, I think they all know Ramaka, and some of them have actually been under her during Dance India, so they know her, not all of them. So again, they wanted to make sure that they rise to that level and that they give their best in front of her. So they were very excited that she was going to be the mentor, and I think once she came in, so initially it was going to be like a once a week. We started off with once a week, and then we went on to twice a week practice, 3 times a week, and then finally it was every day. So when Ramaka came into the picture and she said like, okay, next week I will see you all. So sometimes then I'll be thinking, oh no, I don't know whether I have enough days with them before I actually go back to Ramaka. And then I didn't even have to ask them. So the moment Ramaka's session is over, they'll just say, Akka, so we'll come on this day. Then I say, yeah, we're going to show it to Ramaka. No, we have to be ready. So we'll come for the practice and we'll get it done. So that automatic seriousness and wanting to do well, so that Ramaka is happy with the work, was something that came generously with them, and it was spontaneous. They just reshuffled all their schedules, their work and everything else. One girl studies, so everyone just rescheduled everything, and they were just there, fully committed. So I think that it was a very interesting journey for them. One level, trying to, they were in that same that vision that I had. They shared the same vision as me. I think that's very important.
Right, absolutely.
Right. And at the same time, when Ramaka came into the picture, they were very receptive to her corrections, and they would actually spend hours working on it, and they would show it to me before it went back, before we met Ramaka again. So I think that really worked and helped to bring that level of perfection that I wanted to hit for the production.
Lovely. I'm going to come back to you and ask you a question about, in the previous section, Ramaji spoke about, the scene where she talked about the sadhana scene, right? And I want to ask you, Chitra, 2 questions. One is, when you compose music, do you think of it first as a whole, or does music emerge as these parts that later come together to form a whole?
I think for different sections of the production, it was slightly different, but for sadhana, it happened in parts. So, I mean, sitting in the sessions when they are exploring was really helpful. So they were exploring, say, okay, we're doing a rigorous training, or we're just like doing a step again and again. So the very that first phase of a sadhana, if you will, it would just literally be me sitting there in the studio, in the hall with them and responding to them. And it could be completely random. It almost didn't matter what, but I would just try to respond what felt right, whatever flowed. And usually what flows initially, just at the beginning, usually that would click. And then, you know, what we would do is we would record it, and then the dancers would sit with it for a while. They would, you know, kind of go on exploring. Then Lakshmi Akka would come after a few days and say, you know, this worked, but maybe we can expand this portion. I think this didn't work. Maybe we need to explore it again. So this went back and forth. So yeah, most of the sections for the production were small parts that we worked on, and we really zoomed in. And it was me being there with them and then responding. And then like, it was just a back and forth conversation that happened that slowly evolved. A lot of the initial drafts of the music was just my voice. It was just singing some swaras or humming this and that to really bring out an idea or a sequence that they were exploring. Yeah.
Wow. I was just thinking, Chitra, as you were speaking, that, you know, creating versus creating music that responds to the director's vision are in some sense two very different things. And what have been your key takeaways from actually creating music that is actually that somebody already has a vision, and you're actually it's really hard, right? Like when you design a newspaper, for example, the writer has written the story, but you have to actually visualize it. So what has it been like? What have been some of the key takeaways? Because I know that you compose music for dance. So what have been some of the key learnings?
I think first, the humility to just really make sure that the music is not, I mean, for me, it's so important to be intimately involved from day one, and that the music is not on a separate tangent. That it's really serving the intent of the dancer, of the choreographer. So you know, sometimes we may think, illa inda ragathula irundha nalla irukum or inda taalathula. So I don't think on that, and I mean, I don't let myself go to that at all initially. At least it's really responding. So I try to like have if like, let's say if you take light, I try to get, you know, questions. I kind of like, we have conversations, and from those conversations I try to sieve out imagery. Okay, is the light flickering? Is the light fading? Is the light growing in intensity? So these have a sense of movement. Yeah. You know, so each of these evoke something very different, and that then really allows me to allows the music to flow in a particular way, or the swaras to flow in a particular way. Sometimes Lakshmi Akka would even hum. So it's a lot of the times, you know, we don't know if it's the dancer adding to the music or the musician adding to the movement, right? It's so intertwined in that sense, because for some of the pieces, Lakshmi would hum and she'll say, does this make sense? You know, I don't know what ragam it is, but I want this pattern, you know. So that, then I would take that and then I will add to it, and then we will explore it together. So working together, I think that's a big takeaway, to really go hand in hand. And yeah, I think that for me is very important.
Symbiotic sort of nature of a collaboration like this, right? Where
Yes.
the dancer understands the music, the musician understands the dance, and everybody sort of comes together to. But we're not going to let you go, Chitra, without you giving us a little sample of the music, and we're not going to play any teaser. We're going to listen to it straight from your voice, if you don't mind. Just one little section excerpt.
Sure. So this piece it's an interesting piece. One of my favorite sections of the production, where it is a piece on the qualities of a dancer. Okay, and so the qualities of a dancer is usually the shloka that most dancers learn in their theory and in their classes. So Lakshmi Akka, when she's telling me about this piece, so words like drishti or brahmari. So brahmari means to be able to do circular movements with ease. So, you know, she was saying, okay, literally it's a circle, but I also want to think about it more deeply, about the quality of being all-rounded. right? Or a drishti. So using your eyes in a beautiful way, but also then eyes, not just literal eye movement, but what is your vision or the ability to introspect. So, you know, these words Lakshmi Akka wanted to take them to a deeper point. So when we tried to make music for that, it was very challenging, because now it's not just on the surface, right? There is a depth that she wanted to bring. So you know, we attempted to do that with the music. So I mean, I'll just share that one small bit with you if I can. जवहस्त्रत्वं रेखा च भ्रमरी दृष्टिराश्रमः जवहस्त्रत्वं रेखा च भ्रमरी भ्रमरी सनिध सनिध पमगरि गमपदनि भ्रमरी, something like that. So each word, she kind of picked 2 or 3 words that she wanted to really highlight, and we tried to expand on those words. So Brahmari was one where actually we spent quite some time trying to figure out how we wanted to achieve that through movement, through music. Yeah, so that was an interesting process.
Beautiful, Chitra. Thank you so much for spontaneously agreeing to share this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I often find it, I think it's unfair to suddenly ask singers to, like, just because they're singers, just ask them to sing in, but I took the liberty with you. So thank you so much. Aravind, how does it feel to have your DIAP baby just growing on its own leaps and bounds, and what plans with DIAP in future?
So I think, listening to this conversation itself, you can see the amount of thought and hard work that has gone behind, creating this work. And actually, thank you, Aalaap, for having this session, because the process is actually where the learning is, not watching the show alone, right? So I'm happy that we could actually share this online now, and there'll be more and more dancers and aspiring choreographers who are listening to this will, appreciate. Because at many times, when we watch an artist, for example, I take Rama itself as an example. When I watch a performance, of course, as such a talented artist, she makes it all look so easy, and it all just came out of the breeze, that she walked out of the bed one day and then it all happened. But there is a process behind it, isn't it? And the beauty is that you work hard on this process, but the show must be as if it was a breeze. So that is the challenge, isn't it? So I think it is sharing this process with the team, and for Lakshmi to have this experience, not for herself, but also for her student and, ensemble members, makes it very meaningful. So that, we have today, I think, 5 dancers and a team of musicians, all have been inspired by this program, because they're all in it together in this, right? So I think that's what Dance India is about how can we inspire and aspire for to push our horizon. So I think, this is a very, very how would I say, very rewarding moment actually for all of us to be there. I mean, we started Dance India with a very small horizon, and now it has grown and grown. And credit goes to everybody, the mentors, the faculty who have been coming, and I think what everybody who participates in the program learn first is how to selflessly give. So we are blessed with the lovely faculty who come, and they don't hold back, they don't reserve anything, they're able to give. And then you learn the art of giving first before you start grabbing, right? So learn of art of giving. And
generosity of spirit, truly. Yeah.
And I think what Rama said is very true. It's a camaraderie, because in the busy schedule that everybody is running around in normal life, they don't even have time to meet each other. So they spend Dance India becomes a very interesting place where they can see each other and meet each other. And we are there from breakfast to midnight until everybody is forced to go to bed. But there's so much of hours spending together and talking to each other, talking about dance. And I think this is also a great opportunity for somebody like even Poornima to be part of dance. He has been part of Dance India in many different aspects, not only composing, but I think it brings together the idea that we can bring together. And I think Rama will agree with me that we have a huge challenge with dancers who would see music and dance as different tracks. So I think this talk today would have enlightened a lot of people that how you should bring them together, and like what Rama said, not stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. It has to evolve, and then it becomes beautiful. And for that, people need to give time. So I think Lakshmi talked about time commitment, and how they were inspired to give time, which is congratulations Lakshmi, because getting time from Singapore dancers seemed to be impossible, but it has made happen. So I think there are many facets to be very happy about, but me being me, we'll start thinking now, how do we push this boundary further? We need to go back to camp, and I will heavily rely on our wonderful faculty like Rama to give me ideas. In fact, we had a call today to talk about because we're going to spend 10th anniversary this year. So already I had a call with Rama. How do we make things different for the next 10 years? So we are put our thinking caps on, right? So that's how we can evolve the platform.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. But before I, say it's a wrap, Aravinth, thank you for giving Aalaap the honor to, moderate and be part of this. My life is, especially in the year of the pandemic, literally been about living life vicariously. So I sit back, listen to everybody's stories, and feel so happy that I'm in some way part of this. But before I say it's a wrap, I'm just going to ask Lakshmi and Ramaji to just say in one line why. There is so much going on online, and life is sort of resumed back to normal. Second wave of COVID is sitting. There is so much going on. But why would you urge dancers to take time off to watch TranscenDance that premieres tomorrow at 7 p.m. Singapore time? Why do you think, in one line, Lakshmi, and one line, Ramaji, if you can tell us why they must make time to watch this production?
Lakshmi, you want to go first?
Yeah, okay, Ken. I think there's a lot for them to reflect on their self, on their own journeys, through these journeys of these 5. So I think by watching this story, they will, the takeaway is that it's okay not to be okay. And life will show you a way.
Fantastic.
It's okay not to be okay.
That's the other punchline of the job satisfaction. Okay not to be okay. Fantastic. Yeah. And Ramaji?
Okay, I would say that if you watch TranscenDance, you will know that there is more to dance than just performance.
Fantastic. I think that's also really, really a very, very crucial point. Chitra, would you like to add your comment as well?
You're muted.
Are you on mute? Yeah, you're on mute.
Sorry. I think that it's a production to be watched not just for dancers. I think if we practice art, then this whole journey is applicable to all of us. Actually, within art and outside of it, I think in every walk of life, we can find some relevance to this production. So
fantastic. So I think this production really opens up window of possibilities. And I think also for audiences, eclectic, not just dancers, to watch it. Thank you so much for coming together yet again to share insights on TranscenDance. Like I said, premieres tomorrow. Congratulations to all of you for collaborating and creating this beautiful, very meaningful, relevant work. Aravinth, congratulations. Lakshmi, Ramaji, Chitra, thank you for your time and for the generosity of spirit of sharing these insights. Really appreciate it. Thank you to our audience who watched and sent us so many love emojis and said more mentorship programs need to happen. Aravinth, I think that's addressed to you, because they say Akhila ji have mentorship programs. I was like, I will ask the boss. So yeah,
I think you didn't ask me why they should watch this show. I think
sorry.
That we heard that it's an abstract concept, but the lives of everybody here on the screen and people, the dancers, are in the production. So I think it's always inspiring to see lives being brought out as art. So I think they should watch it.
Fantastic.
Yes, very true.
Such a relevant point. Yeah, all are
yes.
In some sense.
Lakshmi, tomorrow is a big day for you. Best wishes. And for all the lovely, lovely 5 dancers who are watching, I'm sure. And it's best wishes to all of you. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Akka. Thank you, Akhila,
Thank you all
for
very
having
much
us.
and good luck. And thank you to the audiences as well. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.